This is my first time doing a video like this. I hope it goes well. My name is Kristen. What I have to show today is a lot of knitting, um, pretty much all knitting in terms of like finished objects and works in progress. Some other stuff in future plans, which is really fun. Um, I have been knitting for a very, very short amount of time. I've only been doing it since November, um, but I've been really liking it, and I have a lot of stuff to show for it. Um, and I made it my whole personality. I want to talk about it all the time, so this feels like the best venue for something like that. So I'm gonna get like right into it. My first finished object is. Ooh, sorry, I have a. Oh my god, there's a whip tangled in it. My first finished object is my Step by Step sweater by Florence Miller. This is done in Briggs and Little Heritage in the color Fern Green, and there's a little bit of Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in Oatmeal. This is really fun. I really liked doing this. I did it pretty quickly. Um, there's a few things about this that are like a little weird. So first of all, I did a folded collar with the merino on the inside because I was a little worried that this would be too scratchy against my neck. And the way I did that, I kind of winged it. And what I ended up with was all of these like this like kind of little bump around here from when I joined my collar together to start knitting the yoke. And I'm not like an enlightened knitter yet where I will just kind of frog everything if like a little thing goes wrong. I still have this like it feels like a very beginner like mentality to have where like you have a bit of a sunk cost fallacy with these things and you just like don't want to redo your work. So I didn't redo my work. I just kind of left this and I remember I was knitting like all the way down here and I was like I should go back and rip it out. I should go back and rip it out. And I just never did. So what I decided to do to make this like solid line here a little bit more like it looked intentional was I went around the cuff and the hem and I just knit like a line of the heavy merino, a row of a round of the heavy merino, and then purled it on the next round, and then it made these like little purl bumps, which sort of stick out in this little like scalloped, lacy kind of way, which I think is cute. And in the end, honestly, this I don't find this super scratchy. I uh got over like the delusion that I was allergic to wool. Um, Last fall, I was looking for before I started knitting. I was looking for sweaters that would keep me warm that I wasn't allergic to, and I went through this whole rabbit hole of like, can you be allergic to wool? If I'm allergic to wool, why doesn't lanolin hand cream bother me? And what I the what I arrived at is that um, when I was sniffling and having a horrible time sleeping under wool blankets, that was dust. Like wool gets really dusty. So I wasn't allergic to the wool, I was allergic to the dust. And then I think when I would wear wool, I would feel the scratchiness and it would trigger some anxiety of me thinking, oh my God, I'm wearing something I'm allergic to. And that would freak me out. Now that I'm over that, like this is very rustic wool, Briggs and Little. It's made in New Brunswick. There is pieces of hay all throughout it. Um, it's definitely like a rough wool, and I can wear this next to my arms and I don't care. So I'm not allergic to wool, which is great news for me because I love knitting. Oh, there was one other little thing that I started decreasing too early because I messed up a centimeter and I messed up rows. So I went 10 rows instead of 10 centimeters. And I started decreasing, but it's like, it's okay. I would say that this arm is like maybe a little bit short, but I don't really mind that. I'm not like I don't love like the big, like flowy sleeves that some people like. So that's okay. Oh yeah, the pattern, I really, really like the pattern. I know this pattern gets a lot of love for the video tutorial, which is really, really, really good. But the written pattern is just like great. Like the way that it is organized, it is really hand-holdy, which is good for like your first garment. Um, but I pretty much just followed the written instructions and it just like flew by. I did the German short rows in the back without looking at the video, and like I think there's maybe one sort of place where you can kind of see it gets a little squirrely, but it was fine. It wasn't scary at all. I loved it. I wear this all the time. Um, just like around the house even, or just to put on a warmer layer, which is great because it is spring. I live in Toronto, Canada, and it's spring, but it's not very springy. It's been pretty cold lately. It's been a very like snowy, cold winter overall, which has been like a really good year to start knitting and to get over my wool allergy. I've been cozy. I've been really cozy all winter. It's been great. Something else I have finished is this is a everything has cat hair on it. I have two light colored cats, and it's just gonna happen. So sorry. Um, this is an Anne Gagnon 2x2 hat. It's a free pattern. I made this for my boyfriend. I've been wearing it mostly. Um, it is made of Patton's classic wool worsted that I thrifted. So I thrifted like an old version with the old tag where it just says it's classic wool, but it's the same Patton's classic wool worsted. And I really like this brown color. And I made it very short. So it's very, it's very like natural wine bar. Um, but it's great. I what I did is I knit it to like I think I did like 6 inches before doing the decreases. You're supposed to do like 8.5 to 9. It has like this kind of X pattern on the top where the decreases go, which I really like. Um, and overall, I think it's really cute. Another thing I have is wow, a Sophie scarf. Amazing. This is the fourth Sophie scarf I've made, and it is definitely like the best one, the nicest one. Um, again, like I was saying, it's really cold around here these days, and I was getting just annoyed with how I wanted it to be spring, but it was still cold. So I went and I got a skein of Santa's Garn Double Sunday in Poppy, which is one of the petite knit colors. And I was like, I'm gonna make a little scarf out of it. And honestly, look, I looked up all of the like Sophie scarf alternatives. I was like, maybe I'll do something else. In the end, I was like, I actually just want a Sophie scarf. I don't want lace. I don't want cables. I don't want something that's gonna look like weird on one side versus the other. That's something I really don't like about really a lot of scarf patterns have a wrong side and scarves get twisted and turned around. Like I don't want to show the wrong side ever. So this like looks basically the same on both of them. And I like it. Like I know there's a free pattern that is similar. It's the Simple Thing by Melina Brell, which is also a good pattern, but it looks a little bit different. It has like a rounded edge where the Sophie scarf has the little tapers, which I really, really like. Um, and like I bought this pattern. I basically like started knitting because I was like, I do want to make a Sophie scarf. I wear a lot of like bandanas and little scarves. I've sewn little ties, and I was like, I want one of these. I bought the pattern, and it's good. I'm a Sophie scarf defender. So what? Anyway, I like this a lot. I usually wear it that way. Um, this is what I'll do. It also, people are like, this is not even going to keep your neck warm. It's like, what are you talking about? This keeps your neck warm. How would this not keep your neck warm? Anyway, I'll do it like, what I will do is I'll wear it like this to walk somewhere. And then maybe when I get there, what I'll do is I'll do it more of like a drapey, Girl Scouty kind of thing. It actually looks, wow. It looks great with this dress. I like the Sophie scarf. I'll make more, probably. I don't know. Oh, in the same vein of talking about like little scarves, this is a pressed flowers kerchief by Amy Christoffers. It's very tiny, which you might notice. So I did this on, this is like sport weight yarn. There is Noro Silk Garden Sock Solo, and then the brown is a thrifted finish yarn. It's Novita Nala. It's like a sport sock yarn. It has a lot of polyamide in it. And so I did these on like a smaller needle, and what I did is I just sort of did it to the point where it would make like a cute little hair kerchief type size. And I did something I've seen a lot of people do, which is I just picked up stitches on the end and did these long I-cord ties. Because again, like, I really don't like, if I would have had to tie this with the corners here, you're going to show the wrong side, which doesn't look too bad on this, honestly, but I just don't want that. So I will do this, and I wanted to tie it in my hair, and that's going to make that a lot easier as well. I'll also do it like this and just tie it in the back, or another cute one is like this. This also looks really, oh, I'm messing with the microphone, I'm sorry. That looks cute like this too, tied in a little bow. I had a really, like a challenging and fun time following the chart for this, because it was the first time I followed a chart for something other than just like simple color work. So where the decreases are, where I had to slip, where I had to knit, all that sort of stuff. The pattern is really easy to follow once you figure it out, but it just took me a little while to figure it out. And I would like consistently mess something up and have to go back and frog a lot, which, speaking earlier where I say I'm not like an enlightened knitter in terms of like going back and frogging and just like leaving my mistakes, I did pretty good here. There's one thing about this pattern that I tried to be really careful with, which was every time I would pick up a new color, I would make sure I carried it behind the other color, which makes this like nice stripe on the edge. There is a place right here where I messed that up. And I didn't go back and fix that, but I wanted to point that out because I've also, like, it doesn't say in the pattern how to carry your yarn to make it look nice on the edge, and it doesn't matter, but I have seen people's finished objects where this edge gets all, it's all over the place. So that's how you handle that. This is, yeah, Noro Silk Garden Sock. I really like Noro Silk Garden Sock Solo. I really liked. I got it discount at Yarns Untangled in Toronto, and it's really fun to work with. Like, it has a very, I like the thick and thin. I like the way the colors go. The only thing, you can tell there's like a really thin one here. On the camera, it's hard to tell. But this here, it got really thin here. I probably could, what I could have done is just like broke the yarn and like went to a thick place and picked it up, which I didn't do, but it's cute. The remaining of my finished objects is all socks. I love socks. First ones I did were the Summerlee I'm So Basic socks. These I wore yesterday, so they're a little goofy looking. The blue is a thrifted sock yarn, Dynasty, which I think is an old Canadian brand. I thrift a lot of yarn. And the body of it is Noroteo sock yarn, which has a lot of cotton in it. It's a blend of a lot of stuff that has a lot of cotton in it. And this yarn I took from my mom's stash when I went home for Christmas. My bedroom in my parents' house is full of yarn and wool and fiber right now, which is fine. I haven't lived there in a really long time. But it was really nice to go back at Christmas because I was like, oh, I knit and I use yarn now. So I really kind of pilfered through and I said, can I have this one skein of Noro? And yeah, we got it. It has this like sort of like wide self-striping. This is when I did like, I did the first one and then I went and I like wound up a bunch of the yarn until I got back to this pattern so that they would match, which I like. It's a little too wide for me to be comfortable or happy with having them off too much, like a different stripe at the top and at the bottom on each one. So these ones kind of match, which I like for this. The cotton yarn is a little like baggy, I find, when you wear it, which is okay. They just like end up looking kind of slouchy. I don't mind. And I'm definitely on a journey of learning how to make my socks fit better. These also, just looking at this heel flap, is way shorter than this one. It's okay. The thing about socks is like I find them very forgiving because they are just on your feet. No one's looking at them up close, hopefully. Um, so you can kind of like you can kind of mess them up a little bit, I think. In and that's kind of nice. It's nice for me for someone who's like not a very big perfectionist that like not being a perfectionist about them works out. These are my first colorwork socks. These are the Summerly Colorwork Cuff Club. I think this was like the first motif. So this is August last year. These are in Mondim, Retrosaria, Rosa Pomar, Mondim. The heel and the toe are thrifted uh, Lady Galt Croy. It was really old. It had a really old tag, and the red flowers are lichen and lace, um, hand dyed from Sackville. I got like a mini skein of the red. Um, these I really like. I went up to a 72 stitch sock for these. And the Mondim is I see so many like varying opinions on whether it's actually suitable for socks or not because it's 100% wool, no superwash, no nylon. And some people say they wear out really quickly. I've worn these a few times and they're good so far, but I have when I'm knitting with Mondim, I am like giving myself some insurance by knitting the heel and the toe in a yarn that has nylon in them. This was really fun. I had issues with my needle, so I don't remember which one. Whichever one's a little tighter, I can't even tell anymore, honestly. I knit one of them magic loop up until like here, basically. I had a pair of Addy needles that had like one of the plastic blue cords, and I busted it. It just broke all of a sudden. And so I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Xiaogu red lace needles. So that went a lot better. I had done the color work on the magic loop and everything too. So it was a little bit tighter, I think. And oh, I know which one it is now. This was the one. This was the first one I did. There's a reason I can tell. This was the second one I did. So I started on my Xiaogu red lace. And what I did do is since I was ordering a new pair of needles anyway, I also ordered a pair of 9-inch circulars. And I did what Summerly tells you to do, which is to go up to a 2.75 in the colorwork section and do that on the tiny circulars because that makes it easier um, to make your floats the right size. So I can tell that this is the one I did that on versus this one because I mean, you can really tell. I can tell the stitches on this one are a little bit bigger than the stitches on this one because the color work was done on a larger needle size. And I did like that process. I don't know if I love that it does make the color work like a bigger stitch, especially like on the cuff where it changes. You can actually kind of see how this cuff like bulges out a little bit even. Um, so we'll see. And my last finished object is my last pair of socks, and they are the first socks I've ever blocked on sock blockers because I just after I knit like 3 pairs of socks, I was like, it's time to get sock blockers. I was just making them, putting them out flat. It doesn't matter. You don't need to block socks, but it is kind of nice to have them in this like nice shape. Um, this oh, these are so full of cat hair too. These are just like a straight up, very simple pair of socks with the Noro Silk Garden Sock Solo that I made my Pressed Flowers kerchief with, and I knit them on like a 3 millimeter, I think, like a bigger needle. So they went by very, very quickly. And I don't remember what the stitch count I used. Um, Not 72, something smaller than that. And I didn't even do a cuff. I just started knitting straight stockinette so that they have like this little roll, and they're a little short in the ankle, like a little bit of a short ankle. And I love these. My works in progress are all behind me here. So, more socks. These are the Melina Paulina ragged socks. They're really, really fun to knit because what you do is you make a lot of little yarn overs, and then so you make these little holes, and then you also will drop your stitches above a yarn over sometimes to make like these like ladders that are coming through here. So you have this like ripped up pair of socks, which I think is really, really fun. These are in Lang Yawool in like I think the color is red coral, and I had got a 50-gram skein of them. It's just not enough for 2 pairs of socks. Like these have like a relatively tall leg on them. So my other one, I just have it on like a little piece of scrap here. There's the yarn. I only have this much left with this one. Um, I need to pick up for the gusset. So I had to make an order with the Knitting Loft. I've never been there before because it's kind of far away from me, but they had this in the right color. So when I get that, I'm gonna do that. This is also a Melina Paulina pattern. This is the summer core dress. So these are my sort of temporary straps. You can see the front here comes up like this. This is knit in 2 strands of drops Paris. So I have like a denim color and then a pinky apricot sort of color. I just noticed yesterday, I saw the needles I had for this project just like out. Um, and I had an 8 millimeter on one side and a 7 millimeter on the other side. It's supposed to be 8 millimeters. So I don't know how I did that. I don't know which side I used. That's kind of frustrating, but whatever. I've been trying it on and it fits. One thing I found myself being frustrated with and like having to find an answer about is that I was holding a strand of the blue, a strand of this apricot color together, and I was consistently running out of the blue way, way, way earlier. So I had 7 skeins of each, and this is how much I have left of each skein of the apricot. And the dress is too short. Like, I will probably block it before I knit any more on it, but it's just too short. I have like a long torso and I've got a big butt, and if a skirt's too short, it's just like way too short for me. So I ordered 2 more skeins of the Drops Paris, which you can't find in Toronto anywhere, so I had to order it from Europe. And so what I'm going to do with this is it does have like an I-cord edge all around here with the straps. I have like a chocolate brown color that I'm going to do. So I'm going to do that soon. I will knit all my straps and everything, weave in all my ends. My bottom is just on barber cord. I'll block it and see how much longer it gets because it is cotton. It's heavy. It's going to stretch out probably. I'll see how much more I need to knit on it, and go from there. And then there is a line on the bottom also. I'm excited to wear this. I keep having visions of riding a bike in this summer. I don't even own a bike. The fantasies of me wearing this dress are really, really strong. My last work in progress is, so since I was waiting on yarn for these socks to finish them, I did another sock. I feel like I always have to have a sock on the go. I finished this one last night. This is a colorwork design I just sort of came up with. It's very close to the quilty cabin socks, but I did just make my own. I just used stitch fiddle and I just like made my own. Again, I'm trying to figure out sock fitting. The heel flap on this one is massive, partly because I do think I need more space from like the heel to here, so I need more stitches in my gusset, I think. But also part of it is because I took this to a friend's house and I was knitting the heel flap and I didn't have a ruler, so I was just kind of freehanding that. So maybe that will be an issue for me. I don't know. This is Mondim again, and this is Patton's Croy. Pretty low contrast in the color work part, which is whatever. I don't mind. Maybe I'll make another pair of these sometimes. I'm gonna be making socks for the rest of my life, so I can always make these again. Oh yeah, both of these I have the Miffy Bagu. They make good project bags, and I've been taking my projects places more, which is really fun. I think that's all of my works in progress. That was all knitting, but I have future plans, and that involves things beyond knitting. Let's start with the knitting. I'm not excited about either of them. Oh no. I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'm a huge like summer knitting fan. Not that I've like, well, I like my summer core dress. Um, but I thrifted a bunch of this cotton in these like two green colors. And I did start to make a Tolsta tank by Rebecca Clow. I think it would be nice with this as like a contrast color, and this is the main color. I did start it. I cast on all my stitches. It's bottom up, which I know a lot of people don't like for like fitting reasons. I don't like it because I'm realizing I really, really don't like casting on a ton of stitches. I'd rather like cast on a few stitches and like increase. But I did do it with this, and I joined in the round, and for the very first time in my life, I twisted the stitches around. So that meant that it couldn't be fixed without like fully frogging the whole thing. So I might try again, and what I might do honestly is do something I've seen people do where you just knit the first few rows flat and then join in the round because it's easier to keep track of your stitches and keep them from twisting, and then just sew it up at the end. My attitude to this is maybe the wrong one because I'm sort of like, since I've started knitting, I knit every day, and I'm like, I need to be knitting on something all of the time. And my thought towards this with this cotton is like, I might as well be knitting something I can wear. So I'm not like excited about it. Maybe I have to think about that. Anyways, I do have a lot of this yarn. I'm not going to linger on that. The other future plan I have, which I think is going to take a while, honestly, is I want to do a Brady loop sweater. And I have Drops Flora, and I have Drops Kid Silk Mohair. I should have brought my swatch for this. I did do a swatch, and these actually end up looking really nice together. The way this kind of tones this down, and since it's Drops Kid Silk Mohair, like you can see the white core a lot, which can be annoying, but I actually liked how it looked. I liked how it looked in my swatch. My apprehension to working on that is that it's a really, really warm sweater to work on when it's getting warmer. And I'm also just like, I kind of think I need just like a little bit, I think I need like more projects under my belt before I'm going to feel confident working on that. Just like from what I've seen about the pattern is people say it is like kind of difficult. It's a little hard to follow or confusing. And I know you knit kind of like the back shoulder and then you go and pick up stitches, and there's like different pickup rates. Picking up stitches is like very hard for me to get my head around for some reason. Like I have a really hard time with it. I don't like doing it. I feel like I'm always doing it wrong. So maybe I just need to practice picking up stitches more. I mean, I do it on like the socks with the heel flap and gusset, but those are slip stitches and they're just like, those are easy. So, and like doing it at the right rate so that it looks, I don't know. It's just like that part scares me. So, I don't know. We'll see. But I have this hanging out. I have a lot of other sweaters I'm really excited about the concept of making, um, but I'm not in a position to like buy a bunch of sweater quantities of yarn at this point in time. So I'm going to work with what I have, and I have plenty of both of these in stash. I have sewing plans. I have this fabric. This is a Fableism like yarn dyed cotton. I got this from Fabric Spark, which is also where I got my patterns printed. I got this to make a Henrietta skirt by Spaghetti Western Sewing, which is a pattern I've had since it was released basically, and I've never made one. I think what I'm going to do is I've seen someone make a Henrietta skirt in this fabric. They had the stripes going this way. I'm going to see if I can have mine going this way. I think I'll like that a lot. I find sewing suits what I want to wear in the summer. Second thing I want to sew is a pair of Pomona pants. I think I want to do the tapered fit. I think what I'll actually do first, I do have some yellow twill that I think I will make the wide leg version. And then from there, I'm going to see what I should do making the tapered version, because what I find with like tapered or straight leg pants on my body is that I have like thick calves, and sometimes it ends up looking like skinny instead of nicely tapered. So I might have to adjust that. And I kind of just want to do the wide leg version because I do want a wide leg version. I just want to see what that's going to look like. But this plan I think is going to look better tapered. So what I want to do is I want to do one leg in this linen, and then I want to do another leg in this linen. This is like an Irish linen tablecloth that I've had for a really long time. And why I think the Pomona pants will work very well is that the Pomona pants don't have a side seam, so I can have a full unbroken pattern of these roses going down one of the legs. And I think that's going to look nice. And the last thing I have for a future plan is something kind of exciting. I found this at the thrift store yesterday. It is a latch hook kit. I've done latch hook before, as you'll see. And I've never done like someone else's pattern. I like this design. There was a couple of them there. The other one didn't have like the image of what the actual finished pattern would be, and the colors didn't look as good. But this box has just like all the pre-cut yarn. So, got this, and I do have a latch hook tool that I've been using somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I did find this in this. So that's good. What I want to show as like a special treat for my first video is I wanted to show off all of my I keep calling them like disaster projects. They're not disasters. They're just things that have been sitting that might get finished someday and might not get finished. I'm just going to show them. And you might never ever see them again because I might never work on them again. It'd be cool to finish some of these. You'll notice a pattern. Anyways, we'll see. This is the first one. This is the All Well patchwork quilts. And this is all made up of tiny little squares. Every square is the same size, and it makes this pattern. And this is about half of the quilt top. And I sort of did this, and I looked at it and I said, I don't want to do that again. So I think if I do anything with this, I'll probably add a big fat border, and that'll be that. These colors I picked years ago, I don't know if I love it. I don't know if it's something I would pick today. But I think what I might do is I might do this in like a super, super thin batting, like using like a cotton sheet as a batting, something I've seen people do, and have this as a super, super thin like park beach blanket. That's an idea. That could be cool. I told you there's going to be a theme. This is nuts. I made this for my book club last year. We read the book Bear by Marian Engel, which I loved. I really, really, really liked it. And my book club, we like go all out with presentations and like projects and art. I'll show you. For my book club, one time we picked Life and Death Twilight, which is a gender swapped Twilight, and my friend made these tiny little dioramas for everybody of different scenes from the book. So this is, I can't remember her name, Girl Edward sitting and watching me sleep. So like that's the energy that gets brought to my book club. So this is what I did for Bear Book Club is I embroidered the text from the version of the book I have, and it's surrounded by little like morel mushrooms, trilliums, raspberries, things from the book because it's a very nature heavy book. It's very close to nature in that book. And so I did this in this sort of square here, and then the rest of it is a bear paw quilt block pattern. And my plan for this was to make a quilted pillow cover, and I just didn't finish. This is the last quilt thing, and this is a quilt pattern from a Reader's Digest book that I got at the thrift store that I see at the thrift store all the time, which is called The Weekend Quilter. And it's really, really fun because you start with like the half square triangles and then you build those into this bigger block. And then you have these blocks, which is just one piece of fabric, which is the same size as these. So when you're building the quilt top, you start small and then everything gets bigger and bigger and goes faster and faster, which is really, really fun. And the fabric for this is almost all thrifted. A lot of it is like pillowcases and sheets. The only kind of fancy fabric I have is this Liberty of London for the border. And then the back is a bed sheet. And what had been doing was tying it with this yellow cotton pearl thread. And I have quite a bit of it done, but I have a lot left to do. And my other qualm with this is my plan was to just tie this quilt, but I think my batting is too thin and dense for the tying to hold up and look good. Tying a quilt looks better on like a lofty, thick batting. So I think what I will have to do is if I ever finish tying this, I think I have to go back and like actually quilts. So that's something I have to think about, and then I have to think about the binding. I don't even know what I would bind this with. I do really like it. Is like really cute. I really like it. It's just finishing it. I really like making quilt tops and like patchwork. The rest of it that just takes a while, but it would be nice to have someday. I have so many quilts just in my house already, but it would be nice to have one I made. Here's a knitting one. Yikes. This is supposed to be the My Favorite Things Knitwear vest #1. There is quite a bit of it done here, but I have just like so many issues with it that is making it hard for me to do. So this is like the first garment I ever started, and I really messed up my like yarn estimation. Like I just like didn't know about weights. There's just so many things I didn't know about. It's maybe a little hard to tell on the camera. Oh no, it's you can see pretty clearly. This is where I knit flat, and this is where I knit in the round. The rowing out is, to me, it looks like it causes like just like a line of it. I kept running out of yarn. I didn't do the whole folded collar. I bound off the neckline in pattern. I can't really get it over my head. The way talking about picking up stitches is so messy. When I had to cast on stitches, I cast them on and I just like made up how I was doing it. Picking up the stitches on the shoulders looks really weird. So So it's just kind of sitting in this state with no armhole ribbing, with a tiny collar. And like, I guess I could frog it, but it's 2 strands of drops alpaca with 1 strand of drops brushed alpaca. And that sounds like a misery to frog it. So it's just kind of sitting in my basket. It looks kind of cute now that I'm looking at it. The color is really nice. It's really soft. It'd be very warm, but it's bumming me out. And the last thing, oh my god, this is a big latch hook project. This is something that I worked on when I was unemployed 2 years ago. I worked on this all summer watching Star Trek and Girls. And I did something where I was going to sort of up and down, and then I was like, wait, I just want to get the whole finished length of it. So I can't really like just chop it off here and just like call it done. I kind of have to finish it. And sad news, guess who got laid off again for the 3rd time in 3 years? So maybe this makes a return as a big unemployment project. I also was planning on using it as a rug, but I've noticed even when I was just looking at the back of it, my cats they just pull pieces of it out, so I'm missing parts of it. And someone has been known to pee on it. So I think if I finish it, it would have to be like a wall hanging. I do like how it looks. I have a bunch of like it's a combination of like thrifted rug like latch hook yarn and like acrylic that I cut up myself. So you can see how there's like parts of it. The squares aren't totally square, which I like. So this could be a fun. It could be a fun wall hanging like this, going this direction somewhere. That might be nice. So that's my last shameful work in progress. And that makes this, I don't have anything left to talk about. This could be fun. I'm looking at like my big pile of stuff and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of things I've like made or been making or thinking of making. So I would like to keep doing this. I'd like to update on what I'm working on, other ideas for what I want to talk about. Say hello, like and subscribe if you want to. Maybe this will be fun. We'll see. I'm having an okay time right now. The real fun comes from connecting with fellow makers. Bye.